Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Motown Sports Talk podcast. I am your host, Jordan, and we are back once again, just in time for the NFL football season. Can I get a hell yeah, brother, down in the comments for the first week of the NFL football season?
Oh, hell yeah, brother, yeah!
Now, going forward, we're going to be putting out a lot of content this upcoming season. We're going to be trying to do 2 videos a week and as well as a live stream immediately following each game to kind of get our initial reaction following the game. And we're also going to do like a weekly preview and predictions before each game. We're also going to do one following each game, probably on Monday or Tuesday, with discussing the actual injuries and the result of the game, anything that might have changed or what the coaches and players might have said post-game, something like that. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to be doing it on Twitch or right here on our YouTube. So either way, make sure you subscribe to keep up with all of our future videos and content. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. Now, I know it feels like the off season has been forever, and I'm not about to sit here and waste your guys' time, recap everything that's happened in the off season, at training camp, all the preseason games we lost. Now, we did cover the draft, and we covered the Jared Goff trade. We will link those somewhere up here. But what is important, and I'm sure everyone's already kind of given their opinion and talked about it a little bit, but let's discuss the final 53-man roster and some of the surprising cuts that kind of came along with it. Now, the first thing that kind of struck all across national media was the fact that the Lions cut both of their kickers that we had all training camp in Randy Bullock and Zane Gonzalez. They obviously were not very well throughout camp. They kind of struggled all preseason. And everyone is freaking out that we didn't have a kicker, but as any real NFL fan knows, cut day really isn't over until about 2 to 3 days after the original date. That's where teams look at who else got cut throughout the league, kind of make roster moves and blah, blah, blah. So just because we see that initial 53-man roster that at 4 p.m. on whatever date it was, it doesn't mean that's going to be the final roster come week 1. But since then, the Lions have signed Austin Seibert. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but he was drafted in the 5th round of the 2019 draft, and he's kind of bounced around every year since. He's been in Cincy, Cleveland, Detroit, mostly Midwestern region, it seems like. But this might just be another repeat of the 2013 season after Jason Hansen retired, and we just kind of recycled kicker after kicker after kicker until we got lucky enough to sign Matt Prater, who was cut from Denver at the time. But moving on, the next surprising cut was Terrell Crosby. He was an injured designation, but according to Dan Campbell, he just wasn't one of our best guys on the team. And a lot of fans thought that he would take Vaitai spot at right guard, but it appears he's done well through camp. I mean, at least good enough to beat out Crosby. So we'll kind of see there. There's still a lot of question marks on that right side of the line again. We know we're going to have Jonah Jackson and Taylor Decker over on the left side with Frank Ragnar holding it down at center. But again, with Vaitai and then Swell not performing that well throughout camp, I have no problems with Sewell so far. I think he's going to develop into an amazing player. It's just going to take time. He's transitioning from left tackle to right tackle, which most people think it's just a click. It's the same position, but really you're guarding a whole nother side of the line. It's going to be different for him, and it's going to take him some time to get used to being on the right side of the line. So I do think it's going to take a little bit of time, but early in the season, those first few games, it's going to be rough when we've got teams like San Fran, Green Bay, and Baltimore all on the slate for the first 3 weeks of the season. They all have amazing defensive fronts, so that's going to be a real test for the line. Another surprising cut was Brashad Perryman, who was set to be our number 2 wide receiver, a lot of people thought, but again, I guess according to Holmes and DC, they just thought that they weren't some of the best players, and we have better talent than the younger players. We obviously have Quentin Cephas, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who Brad Holmes obviously believes in and think will make a huge step up this year. The Lions also traded for Trinity Benson, and we picked up Kaderil Hodge. I apologize if I mispronounced that. But yeah, it's clear that wide receiver is going to be the weakness of this team. So to say, obviously we can have some guys step up, but just looking at it on paper with Tyrell Williams set to be our number 1 wide receiver, who didn't even play a down last year, it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out when we had Marvin Jones, Kenny Galladay last year. A few other surprising names that were cut that fans kind of maybe actually thought were coming would be like Jelani Tavai, Mike Ford, Victor Bolden, Corn Elder. Those were all some players that have kind of played well, but was kind of expected that they might be cut here soon. And if you just look at the roster as a whole, it's very clear that Brad Holmes is looking at building towards the future, with the majority of our team being very young and relying on some of these younger players to going to have to step up into the starting role this season. So I'm interested to see, but with that said, now let's kind of move into what our realistic expectations are for what the season might hold. Now, no matter how big of a fan you are or how much Kool-Aid you're drinking, there is almost nobody that believes that the Lions will do anything this year. Even like I just mentioned, the biggest of diehard fans realize that we're not in a great position this year.
Oh no! We suck again!
We have Aaron Rodgers back in the division. We have Justin Fields over in Chicago, who I guarantee will be starting in 3 to 4 weeks, probably by time we have to play the Bears in week 4. And we also have the Vikings, who they might not have huge expectations, but somehow they always end up squeezing at least 7 to 8, if not more, wins each season. So this is going to be a tough year for us. It's going to be a tough division. It's going to be rough. And after last year, I did this podcast basically all off season. I put so much time, focus, energy, emotion into this team, only to blow the lead to the Bears in the season opener and just watch our team struggle basically from that point on. It sucked. It was really rough. And like I said, I just remember sitting there after the Bears game last year, just thinking like, I can't go through this again. It's going to be so hard to watch this team struggle. But we did, and it was a very rough season. And so, you know what they say though, you keep your expectations low and you won't be disappointed. Right. Either way, this year is going to be very interesting to watch. This will be the first time that the Lions have a new quarterback starting since 2009, besides injury, if you want to look at David Blau and a few other years. But we have a coaching staff that is pretty much all former players, and you've definitely seemed to have brought a new energy and feeling to the team and the building. I think our young defense will be a lot better than people are expecting. And hopefully, if our O-line and DeAndre Swift can stay healthy, I think we're going to have a very, very dynamic run game, which will obviously then open up the passing game for some of our younger wide receivers. Overall, I'm excited to watch this team. I'm excited to see how they perform as a group. And I don't want to put an exact number on wins that they'll get. This is just, there's so much uncertainty surrounding this team. And like I said, I want to see them play an actual game with a game plan and strategy, not just preseason thrown out there just to get some reps in, just to say you did it, which is all preseason is. They don't actually game plan. They don't come up with a strategy at all. They don't target players to look for on defense. It's just, like I said, I want to see this team perform. I'm excited for week 1. But what do you guys think? How do you think the Lions are going to perform this year? How many wins do you think they'll get? Do you think they'll make the playoffs? What do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. And I think that's going to do it for this one. I am going to have another video out probably around Friday, maybe Saturday. It's going to be breaking down the 49ers game again with some of the matchups that we might potentially see and how I just think the game might play out overall. So make sure you subscribe and be on the lookout for that video. Also be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. That does really help me out a lot. And thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one.